So I'm watching the Galatta Plus Mega Roundtable. This is part 2 of the reaction. You can check out part 1 here. If you haven't seen the original Roundtable, I'll put the link description on Galatta Plus channel. Definitely check it out. We have Sandeep Reddy Vanga on this, but something which has gone viral from this interview, which I've seen a lot of people talk about on social media, is of Rani Mukerji. What did she say? What all happened? Let's figure it out.
To go back to what you were saying, how strange that in Hindi cinema, we've reached a stage where a big star-based love story is considered a risk, or like people are. It's so like.
But it was like, so suddenly when I did everything I wanted to. Everybody was like, "Are you sure you're going to Kashmir to sing a lip sync song where she's in chiffon saris and he's in overcoats?" I was like, "Yeah, I've done it last with Rani and Shah Rukh." And I loved doing it then, and I want to do it now. And everybody said it will seem archaic, it'll seem old school. I'm like, yes, so be it. I want this song. I want that Kashmir Ki Wadi. I want to pay tribute to the godfather of cinema, according to me, Yash Chopra. And I'm like, I'll do it. And, and I know they were like, but you're making a film that is so woke and feminist, but you're making her freeze in those chiffon saris. So I was like, now, I had a chat with Alia and I said, listen, a lot of this is going to be difficult for you. She's like, but I'm dying to wear this chiffon sari to do this song. But ask me first. Why are you listening to the word? Because I had an ADs that were all
But they're so lucky that they're asking. At that time, nobody asked us whether you're feeling cold, freezing. Pehno sari, perform karo.
When she did Tumi Dekho Na, I was so crazy at that time that in the minus 14 degrees, I said, I want rain.
Rain.
So there was there was a rain machine, but before it was reaching them, it was becoming ice cubes. So we had a health and safety department that was like,
in the song where I'm wearing the red sari, like Tumi Dekho Na, I actually froze and I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk. And one of my cousins, who was also aiding him, Oyon, he had to literally carry me to my car because I had frozen. Yeah. And it was so cold.
And I was so obsessed that I had gone and bought umbrellas that were red.
I like the cold.
I bought 100 umbrellas.
Freezing.
So because I had bought 100 umbrellas, I was like, even if the sun is out and there's no rain, make them walk around with umbrellas. Because that is conviction. So if you see the song, it's bright sunshine and they're walking around with umbrellas. There's no reason. But I was like, this scene, and we didn't have VFX at that time. So we had to literally crowd the frame with 100 people with the same color.
And the whole song theme was
Colors.
showing the different seasons.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he wanted to show rainy season in New York in the freezing cold, where there's no rain, there's only snow.
The other thing I remember about the song is that everybody's walking around in shades of the same color.
Yeah.
So, but if you see the song carefully, I'm actually freezing so much. Then the lip sync, you'll see my lips are like frozen.
No,
and the way I'm trying to say, and I'm trying to
cold.
sing it, so it looks very sensuous, but it's not sensuous actually.
I won't use the word.
I'm just frozen.
I won't use the word, but there was a scene, it was minus 13 again, and she was sitting in a shadi ka lehenga, and Shah Rukh had to come and talk to her, and she had to use the word garden. But because she was stuttering on the word, I can't tell you what the word was coming out as. And if you're clever enough, you'll understand what it meant.
Dirty enough, not clever. I'm trying to figure
It was
out.
coming out. I said, Rani, what are you saying? She was like, but it's not coming out. Like the words were not. We were all, and you feel like glamour can be so beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
It's so damn difficult to achieve in all these kind of time. And kudos to these women who've done it. Like Alia had just, she had just literally had Raha 3 months prior to this. And we're in Kashmir shooting the song because we had to release the film in July. It's the last, and it was minus something, whatever. And we are singing this Tum Kya Mile. And I was like, I don't care. She was like, who she millowed at time. At that time, it was so cold. But she also had a dream and a desire to do a song.
Yeah, but all the
like
boys
this.
are wearing we winter jackets.
No, but we were very compassionate with her, by the way. We gave her
Really?
all the
Don't talk to me now. So I've done films with you. So don't lie.
Yes. Are you trying to say I was not compassionate to you?
Obviously not.
she couldn't say garden and said something
And
else.
she said something that, well, I don't want to say it now. It's
We understood.
You understood. You got the drift. It's a bit of a posterior.
Okay.
We got it.
Yeah.
I want to know one thing. When you have obviously a process while you're acting in a movie, how does it vary according to the person opposite you, your co-star? Because I'm especially interested in Dunki and how you and Shah Rukh worked out your scenes together as actors. Did you just be the same Taapsee you were in every movie in terms of how you approach the role and how you reacted with this person? Or does it change? Does the chemistry of the other actor change something in the process in you and like how you bring out the role?
I think, honestly, it's the first time that I was very clueless and numb for a few days on set. Because you're opposite someone who, now it's a little weird, who, when I started watching a lot of films, it was his films. And I can see the person in flesh and blood romancing me the same way I've seen him on that big screen and loved him there as an audience. So it took me a few days to shake myself up and realize that, you need to not make a fool out of yourself when you're standing there, because this is going to look this might be your first and maybe your last. It is your first, but might be your last. So make most of this. I know that I know my job. I know what I can potentially do in the scene and in the film, but to sink that in, and when you're with Shah Rukh Khan in the same frame, it took me a few days, I won't lie. I mean, it's not that I let anyone know about it, not even Raju sir or anybody else on set. Might be the first time I'm even talking about it on camera.
It's weird, no? That you've grown up watching someone, admire someone, and then one day you are doing the same thing, same performance with him, and it'll be weird. It'll be very weird.
But it was little skipping a heartbeat, skipping a few breath moment for me many times on set. I had to always, after cut, come back. I don't look at monitors, never do. So I had to come back, and while people are checking everything, I had to just tell myself, like, don't get like carried away. Don't just like, don't freeze. Because I'll say all my lines. I remember my lines, everything. I know the basic emotion, but the spontaneity and the feeling you bring in front of the camera in that moment was something that I was losing in the first few days. I had to like do multiple takes to get that forcefully back until it finally sunk in that I am on this set and I'm doing this, and it is, by the core of it, Donkey is a love story. And you might never get this. So just like calm down and just do whatever you can.
I think one more thing she said some other interview that she didn't talk. Yeah, because I think when I heard that Taapsee is doing the movie, news came as if she has a small role. She's in the film, she has a small role. I think in an interview she said she wanted that to happen, that it should not be out that she is actually a kind of a main lead, co-lead in the film. It's about her story also. She's kind of a main focus, because Shah Rukh's character also, if you haven't seen the movie, spoilers, but Shah Rukh's character is there to push her, ahead, that she wants something, and that's where the story is going. So it's quite good that, it stayed away then. Even I thought just a small role, but it's like a co-lead.
And because you might never get this opportunity again. So it took me a little while, but the process with Shah Rukh sir is very different from my process. He loves rehearsing. He loves getting the line so well that it's almost his own. Whereas for me, it's totally opposite. It's the same thing that I had with Mr. Bachchan. He also loves rehearsing a lot. For me, it's like I know my lines because I've come from, after acting in a dozen South films where I didn't know the language. So I was so good with learning lines in my own language. I had to just read it once, right, and I knew my lines. So it's not like I have to learn and make my lines my own because I had good control over Hindi. So it's just about feeling the right emotion and just performing it out. So for me, rehearsing, I get spent. So, but here you are, you're getting multiple times takes to romance Shah Rukh Khan. So I was just giving it all I could. I was like, let me keep bringing in every ounce of emotion for every rehearsal also. And I'll keep giving it till how many ever takes possible. But this is the first time I was just like trying to like muster every ounce of my feeling from inside, which I usually am very bad at. So that was a big change that I've seen in myself over the period of 2 years doing Donkey, and maybe I'll probably carry forward in the future, that doing those many rehearsals and takes, trying to give your best in every take, because I'm very limited in terms, because I put in so much in my first...
And the editing really ruined the movie for me.
...few takes that I start getting spent unless and until you give me a new direction to follow as a director. So, but here we were like following a process, totally surrendering to my co-star and my director, of course. And I think I'm a changed actor or a professional after Dunking.
Nice, nice. Rima, you work with non-professional actors a lot. How do you get them to do what you want them to do?
It's always a difficult question. It's a bonding.
It's, I think, more difficult than knowing an actor because you expect them to do their job, but here they don't know what to do. You have to explain to them.
You know, it is like when you are managing your actors. I'm saying managing. So certain kind of emotions and behavior, you know, it is a constant. In the beginning, I see there are actually interesting parties like what I have learned. There are talents. You know, it's not that I'm always teaching them. They are already, they have something. You know, they already can act. You know, that is quite interesting. My job is, because I came here to become an actor, so mostly I was so conscious.
Maybe that helps.
Before coming to Bombay, always in my school and colleges, I was best actress. So lots of, you know, praises happened. But when I was here, I was too conscious. So what mostly I do with my non-actors, I mean, I creating that kind of environment and bonding, giving them that kind of space.
Make them feel comfortable.
And also when I'm working from my production, making a film, then I get enough time. Sometimes doing just 2 scenes, 1 scene, and sometimes doing the same scene probably for 3 days, 4 days.
Wow.
So we have enough time. It's like a picnic also sometimes, but always need to
Especially the location they shoot.
be very concerned about the lights, because mostly I work in natural condition and natural lights I use. So that is one challenge. But mostly I was recently doing a documentary in Udaipur, and I found them all such good actors, you know, they adapt it so easily. And yeah, I think it is actors or non-actors, it's slightly different. Actors are more aware what they are doing. So then I try to, you know, how to go with the flow and unlearn a bit, you know, to get the spontaneity. And with non-actors, it is only challenges comes when it is a more emotional scene and you somehow need to push them, you know. So there you are a bit, you need to think and how to push them, you know, because you are bringing them to this film and this environment. So where to draw the line? And with professional actors, it's different. You know, you can push them. You know, so yeah.
Sandeep, you divide people right down the middle. Like, I don't think there's any person who says, I half like Sandeep's films. People either love your films or you find people on the other side of the fence. How do you deal with the fact that this polarization is happening?
Yeah, most of the times I read the negative comments too, and I switch back to the positive comments and feel good about myself. And for Kabir, it was very attacking because I didn't expect that, because Arjun was never criticized the way Kabir was criticized, and now I'm used to. And I'm happy about, you know, the more people are loving it. I mean, I see it a very less percentage, but the percentage has increased now compared to Kabir. So how to deal with matlab, I mean, I ignore, I try to ignore, I try to forget. And I see the good side of it.
Okay.
Yeah. If it is constructive criticism, I take it seriously.
Right.
If it is just mocking at me, then I know why. And, you know, yeah.
Like, can you give me an example of like something that you found constructive?
Your review. So, and see, if I have to talk about other people, I have to criticize them again.
Right. Okay.
Again, it becomes the underlining point. So let's not,
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah. But strangely, Jude, you the most... sorry, had you finished or...
No, I mean, to say that's it. I mean, like, it's hard to put like how I take it, but
Right.
yeah.
I know this sounds like a strange question, but you know, on the one hand, you have a huge box of success, but do the criticism still does that help in kind of buffering some of the criticism, or is that separate and is this separate?
No, it's totally different actually. I think I should ignore the wrong criticism. For example, misogyny, because there's no misogyny in Kabir. There's no misogyny in. I mean, Abrar Haq character is misogynistic, but nobody talks about him. People talk about Ranvijay Singh. People talk about Ranbir as misogynistic character, hyper masculinity.
Okay.
Whatever, you know, I feel that has to go with Bobby Deol's character.
Right.
But they never mention about him. You know, they always mention about the main protagonist. So I find it funny. So I don't take them seriously. But if it is constructive, I take it seriously. Yeah, I listen to it.
I just got that again, just to ask you again, let's say a movie of yours makes a lot of money, but it also gets a lot of criticism. Does the money help to offset, maybe it's a movie you produced or direct or whatever, does the fact that it earned a lot of money help to kind of say, okay, made a lot of money, let me ignore the criticism? It makes it easier to take the criticism?
I mean, obviously, when you have a massive box office success, then the criticism kind of gets like, gets, diluted, gets, suppressed at that moment. Having said that, I actually read everything. I read every review, I read every comment. I was shocked in the morning of Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani because I was like, my God, everybody has liked this film. The reviewers have all liked this film. It's never happened to me in my entire career. So I was like, everybody was giving it a positive review. That's when I started panicking because I was like, something is wrong because, it cannot all be like right. So I read all the reviewers. I know them by name. I have a lot of, whether I respect them or not is secondary, but I read everyone because I like to know. I'm a big sucker to know like what people are saying, what people are writing. See, box office obviously dilutes and squashes everything. Some films, as they say, are critic proof and all that. But I don't want to be that filmmaker who doesn't read opinions, who doesn't read. I've been trolled for most of my career, it's the last 5 years the most, for things that have nothing to do with my cinema. It's for things that lifestyle choices, or I've just been trolled a lot. And now that trolling doesn't bother me as much because I feel like, it used to at one point cause a lot of internal trauma. And then I decided to kind of just be resilient and move on. So the trolling doesn't bother me, but the critique of our cinema that we produce or I direct, that I read very carefully, like everyone. And so I'm very amused also sometimes because I love it when some critics actually who I respect a lot, like I do, I'm not saying it because I'm on a table, I have a great amount of regard for your reviews, and I always had. Even when you did not like my films, I've actually read them in great detail because I feel you learn something. But what I have a problem with is when people start writing their own screenplay in the review. I'm like, this was our screenplay. You can critique it, but why are you writing your screenplay?
It should
have been like this. But it is not like this. No. It is this.
Yeah.
So now you critique this. Please don't write your screenplays. And then they were like, don't.
Am I guilty of this? Maybe. But it has never been, not to call myself critic, but it's never been from an angle of telling someone you don't know how to make film, I'll tell you. It's always in a sense, the moment I do this, it should have been like this, is when I think the film was really good, but they did do this thing, didn't land and everything. If it should have done that, maybe it would have worked better. That's always, the point. It's never like, oh, you have nothing idea, it's a horrible film. This film should be made how I think it should. No, that's not what I do. If I've done that, let me know. But I don't think I've done that.
Watch it. That I have a big problem with. Your job as a reviewer is to give us your criticism.
I also never say that you should watch a film or not. You decide. Who am I to tell you we should not watch it or not? My point is to just talk about what I think about the film.
Your praise. The choice to watch the film has to be left to the audience. My big problem is only that as a filmmaker, please don't end by saying don't watch it.
Or
Don't waste your money.
Or
But they say like a
don't waste your
worded
money watching
column.
the film.
Like-
They say like don't waste your time.
Don't waste
No,
your
your
money.
money,
That's-
money.
Funnily,
Your
nobody
time
talks
and
about
money.
the craft.
Both.
Nobody talks about the craft.
Yeah.
They either take sides. Have you seen anybody talking about the craft?
Yeah.
Especially in Hindi. Nobody talks about it.
No, that's my big problem is I have a lot of regard for every job. A critic's job should also be regarded and respected. And I have a lot of respect for it. But what I do not respect is when there is a certain section of people who mock your films and make it a stand-up comic act. And then in the end, they tell you don't watch it. I mean, like, you are not supposed to say that to an audience.
Yeah.
Aajkal to beach mein they are advertising also.
Yeah. Suddenly,
They freeze in the advertising.
and I feel like many critics are compelled to be comedians.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean-
suddenly YouTubers are trying very hard to, but then you do a stand-up act. no?
Yeah.
Why are you using our film?
I'm not that,
for it. Like,
I'm not that humorous also.
like
See,
these-
the basic point here it is, I'll just talk myself. Whoever does whatever, I don't care. I don't defame a film. My point of making a video is never to, say how shit this is and, talk bad about it. No. If it's something I didn't like, I always put out constructive thought ki why it didn't work for me. And if it's great film, I talk about why I liked it, why it worked for me. It's never about, that's why I don't do roast videos, I don't will review a film just to, say it nonsense. Like even Adi Purush kind of, I didn't even go out and just bash the film. I talked about what went wrong.
there are a lot of comedy is a
I
huge
think what
business.
happens is creative people in general are very sensitive people any which ways, because
Yeah.
when you are creative, you have
Yep,
to be
that's true.
sensitive, because that's what you're giving the audience, right? Through your characters, through your films, through whatever medium, filmmakers or actors, we're all very sensitive. So what happens is that when you make any film, like we don't say when we are starting to make a film that hum gandhi picture matlab bana rahe. We don't attempt to make a bad film for the audience.
Right.
We all strive for, whether it's him, her, him, me, Karan, Sandeep, we all want to make a good film for the audience. Of course, in the making of the film, maybe the film might not be palpable for certain amount of audiences, but what they don't realize is that we made it with a lot of passion and love.
Yeah.
So when they completely
Not every time,
Like,
but yeah, most times.
don't recognize the passion that we made that film with, maybe we made not a very good film, but even that not a very good film is made with passion.
Right.
And we've made with a lot of love. So I think we actors or we filmmakers,
the
we just,
empathy that they lack.
we just, I think, expect a little bit of sensitivity towards our craft, sensitivity towards the way you talk about a certain film. And when a film, God forbid, doesn't work, then they gun for it like crazy. Then they badmouth it and they say, really mean things about actors, mean things about the filmmaker. And it's as if those people didn't put on an effort to make the film. So it's
See, I'll say one thing. The thing is also that I don't do names, man. I don't like making names, but yeah, you know who. The 3-letter, and there are many who is all about bashing and doing all this. And the thing is, they get views. More people want to see that. That's the point, right? On social media, more people want to see what they cannot do. They are attracted to something because it's vile. It's talking about bad words and all of that, and it's fun too. It's they find it fun, and that's where the more views goes. I get a lot of comments. You're such a rated channel. You should have more subscribers. And nice to hear all that. But so like, yeah, this is the truth of the world. That this if you are talking sensible and something about the craft, it's not many people look forward to. But it's about those bashing and roasting and all of that. That's what people want to see more. And those people get more views for doing that, and that's why they keep doing it. And that's what when they talk about the things, I'm sure that's what they have seen. They have not seen other people who are doing it genuinely.
as if only a successful film, people have put passion in it, so they deserve to be praised. And a film that is probably not accepted by an audience should be shamed.
And I have to say,
and that is very sad.
And I have
lot
to
of
say, and
hatred,
I'm
huh?
sorry to interject
Lot of
here,
hatred.
but also the hatred very strongly comes sometimes from within the industry.
Yeah.
And I
Out of
feel,
jealousy.
And I feel like it's
That's pure
whenever
jealousy.
you have an industry screening, I feel like at least when it comes to the cinema that, Rani and I come from and now Sandeep is exposed to, Taapsee is aware, we've sat in screenings together. So I just feel like those trial shows and previews are the worst places in the world. I don't know why do we do this to ourselves.
Yeah, actually.
Because many a time you have them and the most thanda reaction will come from those screenings.
No,
I feel the real
think
test of a film is a paying audience. Like when they come with that abandon to love your film. Nobody pays money to hate something, right?
Yeah.
But here, industry comes and sits on a high horse. And they'll come, and there are those that will walk out of a screening and give that look, that congratulations.
Yeah.
अरे भैया
Good
कुछ
luck,
तो
good
बोल
luck.
दो कुछ तो बोल दो से
Good luck is a code
लोकेशन
word.
अच्छा
Good
था सिनेमाटोग्राफी अच्छी थी कुछ तो नया होगा ना and then there's a very annoying section of people who will come and say can I be honest no you can't.
The only point is, then why are you doing it? Because it's like, change it, no? It's in your power, right? Like, forget others, 25 years, completed. If you still cannot go against that, like, just who cares, man? Don't do it. Don't do it. If it's such a problem and all of that, but you're still doing it, then why?
My film is releasing tomorrow. Praise me and go home. No, why are you being honest one day before? I called you because I think my film is good, no? So now, and they'll take you aside and have long chats with what is wrong with your film, And the day before. Yeah, and I'm like, no. So we are suckers. We have this.
No, I think this feeling is of, camaraderie that you want your
praise,
colleagues.
and everyone in the industry has much more of an opinion. They'll break down your film into first half, second half. Audience does not do that. They do this first half, second half phenomena is a trade phenomena. It is an industry reaction. Nobody in the audience breaks a film down into halves. When they're with the film,
they
will
like the
forgive
film or they
bumps
don't like the film.
and they will walk out happy if they've loved your film. Even if they've had some here and there issue, they will talk about, yeah, wo thoda lamba tha, ye gaana nahi hona chahiye tha. We will go, first half work, second half, so film flops, according to them. And then the numbers start circulating from day one. I think it will do this. But how are you a box office analyst? How do you know where it will work? I'm like, the saddest part of it all is that when I feel, and I've done it, each time I tell myself I won't do it and I fall prey to it because I am a filmmaker seeking validation.
Yeah.
Somewhere I am vulnerable a day before my film's release. I want to call members of the industry who I
Yes,
respect.
Karan, I think it's also because you want to call your friends and colleagues to see your work, which you work hard,
No? You want, and I want to reach a place where
That
I don't
answers
want
it.
that validation. I want to just make the movie for an audience. And
It's like every time we
but
have
I
that
want, and
feeling
those
that we
screenings
forget.
are traumatic. They're traumatic.
You think इस बार ही नहीं
इस बार नहीं होगा,
इस बार ही सही
इस
से
बार ही
होगा।
सही से
They're
होगा.
बहुत traumatic.
Every
ये
time.
film industry screening बाबा रे बाबा. Like, and that's why I'm like, premiere तो कभी ना रखूं मैं life.
It feels like that लड़की वाले standing outside asking all बाराती के खाना अच्छा था ना, उनको मजा आया ना, and then I get so awkward. I'm sitting in one corner से जिसको actually पसंद आई होगी ना, वो शायद आके effort
No,
करके
At least say
बोलेगा।
the snacks were good.
No, and the worst
The food was
the
good.
worst is the interval wala silence. When they meet you at the interval and they say nothing. All the other ones at interval they'll say,
No, I'll see you after
speak
the
to you
film.
at the end."
Yeah.
I want to see a film on this or a documentary, like whatever. I want to see what happens.
I mean, tu kaun tu kham kha, where I'll tell you at the end of the film. Like who I am, Steven Spielberg, that I should hate for the end of it. I've been through so many screenings, and I want to kill myself because I'm doing this to myself.
Yeah,
Calling
every
people,
single time.
waiting like an absolute mad person outside for just validation, nothing, and you're getting it.
No,
in
so next
stream.
time you go first day for sure.
I realized I'm never doing this to myself again. And I did it and I suffered even with this film. I was like, every film I do this to myself. And I'm like, so when Sandeep talks about the negativity, actually, the social media is divided into that one top layer of negativity that is actually just virtual. It doesn't exist. They are faceless, nameless, absolutely pointless people who are spreading this negativity. The real people are not even writing sometimes. They're loving your film, but they don't necessarily write. Yeah. The ones who are writing want to make funny comments, point, this thing, talk, argue. Then there are defending star clubs, their fan clubs will start fighting with that ex-fan club. And then you're like watching all this and you're thinking there's negativity. Actually, if your film is loved, you will
It shows in the box
understand.
office.
And it'll show, you'll get the feeling when you walk out of your home.
Right.
What people are writing, what they are saying, doesn't
Some of
matter.
these critics are also career advisors, because in their movie review, it's actually a big career advice for the actor. She's been doing this. She should be doing this, and she. I said, okay, why did this come in the movie review? You talk about if I did it. Yeah, but she's done this before, or she's just doing this. I mean,
I think this is the criticism of her playing like every other film is a sports film.
tell me if I justified it or no, or did it work
This is like the spicy section. Everyone is like ranting.
for you in the film or no? They are giving me my career advice in the movie review of my film.
No, sometimes they also, they critique the human being.
Yeah, that
Like,
also.
with me, it's happened where I read reviews that are all about me, the person. But they've not reviewed the film. They've reviewed what they think of me. So I'm like, but where is the review? I was like,
They took the fact that a movie is a director's medium way too seriously.
Way too seriously.
It only was about director.
this director thinks this and he says this, but is he really that? But what is the film? Why are you not reviewing the film?
And when they sit for the discussion,
Yeah.
most of everybody, for
Yeah.
Kabir it happened. In a panel, there were sitting 5 people. None of them watched Kabir Singh.
Yeah. And they're talking about the movie.
Yeah, this also I've seen a lot. Not seen
Just
the
that
film.
none of them saw the film.
None
and
of
they
them saw. In NDTV it happened. None of them saw and they're talking a lot of nonsense.
So they're only making judgment basis social media, or that top layer hatred chatter.
Yeah.
A lot of them make decision basis that without
that's
even
true.
seeing the film and then having a very strong opinion about it. So it's that, or they watch it with such a biased point of view after reading all that hatred that now they're already skewed. So don't let everybody have a fair chance of making their own
And if you
judgment.
notice those people who do those, vox pops that they have now outside, the ones who are coming to say are all wanting to say sensational things.
Yeah,
The real
that's true.
audience have slipped away
Yeah,
and
they-
gone away. Those ones who are standing and giving loudly, they're giving because they want to go viral. Now to go viral, they're fucking us.
Yeah.
Because they'll say things like Arey tu, you Karan Johar, why? You just you can say piche se quietly people
Yeah.
who really liked your film, they've gone, they've slipped away, they've left the building. They are standing there and giving big bhashans there. And I'm like, chalo, I mean, like, and sometimes many a times we also as PR send our own people and say praise the film and all that also happens. So let me say that also happens. See, sometimes you're
Exposed Karan Johar, exposed by himself. I think once he starts talking, he just let it go.
struggling to make a mark. I want to tell you, you said obviously many a time you want to put out good videos. So and you put out say
I know. This the one idea is this, the other idea is that.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying the idea is
I said that.
Crossover.
And
Yeah.
also I want to tell you, our
Yes.
vulnerability and seeking validation, what happens when you're vulnerable, you're saying everything critic, then you'll dig out those critics who have liked the film and make that big poster. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, 2 stars. And some of those critics, I swear, haven't heard of themselves also. So where we have found those people and those sites, we do that also. As a producer, you will do every last ditch attempt to make your film be heard. So while I may have a big critique on criticism, I'm also riding on their backs when they praise them.
At least he's accepting the fact, At least he's honest there. It's not he's not trying to be double, having double standards.
Because I'm telling you, I'm a Gemini, so maybe I can come across like a double-edged sword at times or two-faced. But I'm very well doing that also as a producer. And I know that there are companies that don't do it. Like I know Yashraj doesn't do it. And they have a strict policy. Adi stuck to that policy. I'm not that person. I'm changing as per film. Because I'm like, इस picture को चाहिए जरूरत ये करो. यहाँ let me be very quiet. ये तो picture चल रही है. Let me take the high ground. ये average जा रही है, इसको hit का perception बनाओ. So you have to do a lot of things. You know, there's a lot of work. A producer's job starts when the film releases, and then you have to really take it through like a warrior. When you have the box office, you can sit back and be very subtle. I'll not be doing any interviews, and you don't need to. Because the box office is doing the numbers. It's the middle order film that you have to fight for. And you have to make sure that you create an aura and energy, perception. I mean, everybody is praising. And then the problem is that sometimes you give 4 lines of praise for the film and then everybody writes the same 4 lines. Then you know it's been bought.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh God.
धोती खोल रहा है Karan Johar धोती खोल रहा है industry. And most of it he does himself. Like, yeah, we all have seen all this happening. But at the end of the day, I think it's easy. Like, you have seen the film, you know it's good or not.
I have to be creative here also. You know, you have to put out like 100 things. It's very
Chat GPT.
interesting
No, but
exercise.
I think overall, Bhardwaj, whatever we all have spoken today, I think the most important thing that one should take from here is that everybody really loves their job. They love what they do. As an actor, I love to act. As a filmmaker, they love to make films. As a producer, they love to produce films. And it all comes, and this whole conversation is stemming out of love. Even when we talk about the hurt that, you know, we go through with what we hear or what we read, I think it just stems from the fact that we are passionate about our work, our jobs, and all we need is love.
Right. And
that's it.
You, Rani, actually have been really, really loved because you're still making movies. I think there's a Mardani 3 in the offing. You're the only female star with an actual franchise.
Yes.
And audiences have, through the years, consistently given you that love. Like when a Rani Mukerji film comes out, it's kind of, there's a perception that it's probably going to be worth it and let's go check it out.
Yes,
How do you maintain that brand over so many years?
So I think, there's a blessing because right from my first film, you know, I've never had a feeling that my audience has given up on me, even when I've done the worst films or when the films have not worked at the box office. Let me put it like that. Let me not call any of my films worst because that is wrong. I love all my films because the mistakes that I've made in those films also have taught me what to do in my next films. But I think the audience, the way they have really made me one of their own, you know, like I'm part of their family.
I think it's like a genuine connection, you know, you build over time that they know, you know, like, of course, not comparing it to, you know, a big, you know, superstar like anyone, but yeah, I think some actors over time, you know, they have those fans who are fans from the start and they still are big fans and they want to watch the films.
I'm part of their life, and that really makes me work and strive harder, you know, like with each film of mine, what is in the back of my head is that my audience is going to watch me and I better be better than my previous one because that's something that drives me to go to the next. And, you know, there was a time where they said, you know, when you get married, when you have a child, you know, audiences lose interest in you. And I've always wondered why. Because as an actor, they don't have to know what I'm doing in my personal life. If a filmmaker, if an actor, if other people in the film industry can have their own lives and have settled lives, why can't an actress have it, you know? And I'm really grateful to God that God has let me break that glass ceiling because from the time I got married to the time I had my baby, I've actually starred in 5 films and all of my 5 films have been loved by the audience. And I can only thank them for this acceptance because we work for the audience. If the audience doesn't come to watch my film, I can't sit here and say that I made a successful film. So it is my victory through my audience. My audience has helped me to victory over this age-old thinking that, you know, now you're married, people are going to be interested to see you. But of course they will be if I come with a story that is engaging, you know. I don't have to be a Rani that I was probably 25 years back. But I want to give my audience something that they're engaged with. And if I tell them a compelling story and if I perform well, I'm sure I can bring their attention towards me, you know. And me being a mother can only help me in my creative process because I'd become even more sensitive because I've just gone through this magical experience of giving birth to a child. And I've experienced something that as a young girl, I would have never known or experienced. So for me, I think I've evolved as a person through the years that I've been in the industry. I've literally grown with this industry. When I started off, I was 17. And today I'm 45. So for me,
I thought she's not gonna say that.
I've literally grown with every stage of my life, with the years of my life. And the choice of films that I made was because I was also evolving through time. With the movies evolving, I was also evolving simultaneously as a person. And I believe that when I keep my ear open and I hear what people are chatting, you know, for an actor, it's very important. Also, I feel as a filmmaker, it's important to hear what people say, but as an actor, it's even more important because we can't be delusional about where we stand or who we are, you know. And it's best to accept who you are at what stage of a career and do things that make an audience respect your work or your choices. So the choices that I've made with my films have helped the audience even accept me in those roles. You know, had I not chosen the films that I chose, maybe I would not have got the success. So it's also important to know where you stand and not to listen to what people are saying that, you know, this doesn't work or that doesn't work. What works for you will work for a certain audience because you're also a human being at the end of the day. You know, so what works for me as a woman, I know will resonate with women. What works with me as a person that I'm living with, I'm living with my husband, so I also know him really well. So I would also know his point of view. So we can't be closed. You know, we have to have a worldview point about, you know, relationships, about emotions. And that's how we choose our films. So for me, I think when you say that how I've done this, and this brand that you say that I have, I think it's a brand that people have made out of love for me and for my craft. Because when they come to see my work, they know that she's not going to let me down because they know I'm giving my 100%. So when you see my work, I think there's a lot of honesty that I put in, and I'm in love with my character. Like, I can't work on a film where I'm not impressed with the character that I'm playing. I have to be inspired by that woman because I'm portraying her. I'm also making her aspirational for a lot of Indian women who are watching not only in India, but around the world. So there was a time when there was a critic who said that, Rani, through your films, we as NRIs come to know how Indian women are in India, you know, because you're showing me that through your films. And for me, that's a responsibility that I feel that I want to portray different Indian women who have different facets in their life. Because in my lifetime, I can only be Rani Mukerji, who I'm born to, my parents. But through my films, I can play so many...
As an actor, you play so many lives, right? You live so many lives. And watching movies, you also live that life, you know?
Wonderful women and such wonderful characters. And Shivani Shivaji Roy, Mardani's character, is one of my favorite. Like, I'm inspired by her character. So when I meet female cops, I'm so empowered just meeting them and chatting with them and understanding how they balance their personal lives, having children, having their husbands, having their own life, and also going and tackling crime, you know, meeting the deadliest of gangsters, you know, going in Naxalite areas, doing the stuff that you wouldn't believe that they would be doing. So for me, these are all very, very inspirational. So I'm very inspired by the roles that I play.
Right. Now, Prithvi, let's say you get Rani Mukerji, you guys say, let's make a movie together. Now, of course, commercial film stars, mainstream stars have, like, for example, Geetu Mohandas made a movie called Muthon. Niven Pauly was in it. Roshan Andrews was in it. So that it's not a new phenomenon. It's been happening on and off, but not consistently. Would Rani Mukerji or Taapsee Pannu's stardom and the fact that they are with a certain profile, would that be a strength for the kind of films that you make? Or would the people come to see a particular kind of Rani Mukerji and find a different Rani Mukerji and therefore go away a little? Is it an advantage for you to rather cast newer people? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I guess it depends on the kind of story that I want to tell.
Right.
See, most of the stories that I tell are rooted stories.
Right.
They are the people that you, I mean, some of us may not even see in our lives, but they are there. They make up the biggest percentage of this country. And it's their stories that I tell.
Right.
My stories don't talk about the 1% or the 2% of the population of this country. But that doesn't mean that I'm not interested in making, you know, the other kind of films. In fact, many people don't know that the first attempt at films was actually as a writer. I was basically into software. I was an IT professional. It's a horror film that was optioned by a UK-based company for a Hollywood film. That never happened, by the way. The film that didn't happen. So that was a completely commercial film. But see, the one thing that I don't do, that I don't like, is the mushy. I'm not into that. I mean, the kind of films that Karan Johar makes. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him, the kind of films he makes, but I don't like those kind of films. Even if I make a commercial film, I want to keep it slightly real. You know, real in the sense that within the framework of that narrative, of that script, I want to keep it real.
Right.
So if I have somebody like Rani Mukerji or Taapsee Pannu, it would be fantastic, provided they fit the role.
Right.
If they don't, then it absolutely doesn't make sense. Right. If the kind of character that I have, if these brilliant actors are not suitable for that role, then it just doesn't. You see, I will give you an example. In Pinky Ellie, you had the lead. She is a middle-class mother, and probably for that, somebody like both of them are probably suitable. But the other supporting roles that I have in my films, none of them will work.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. If you have some people like Rani or Taapsee acting in such characters, playing such characters, it becomes difficult to believe. And for me, authenticity is actually very important, at least in these films.
Maybe as an actor, maybe you want to challenge yourself and be like Alia Bhatt doing a Utta Punjab, that is like, you don't see that often, and maybe you need a Utta Punjab, you needed a character, an actor who can pull that off, but still give you a great performance. Sometimes what happens is when you cast real people in those settings, and maybe they're not full actors, or just just they are trying first time or second time, just like that. Maybe you may not you that may work in the aesthetic, but performance wise that may not work. Depends on the director, what the director wants.
So again, like I said, it depends on the project that you want to do. If it suits, then definitely it will work. But otherwise, I would rather go for the people on the streets. I mean, I have taken a lot of people from the streets, actually. In fact, sometimes I have stood on the streets and did auditions, literally. So if they are suitable for my characters, I will look. I mean, I have gone to slums looking for people. We don't have casting directors. They don't come for my budget. So I literally go to the slums, I take them, I audition them, and then I take them. So yeah, the one thing, first priority in any film for me is the script. Then comes the casting. That has to be almost perfect. So if there is a character that's suitable for any of the actors, then it will work, but otherwise it won't.
You're full of these ideas. You like crowdfunding, going on the streets and finding people. These are all like...
But I think, those are the basic ideas of filmmaking, actually. I mean, I'm not talking about the crowdfunding, but going to the streets and finding talent is the basic idea of filmmaking, nothing else. See, this is why I ask people to watch Iranian films. Watch them. You will see a vast difference between our films and their films. And I feel that we are, for some reason,
This is the controversial bit.
Actually far behind Iranian cinema. This is an honest opinion, and I request people to watch Iranian films and feel how they, see how advanced they are in terms of ideas. Maybe not in terms of technology, but in terms of ideas where they are. And for that, you have to go to the roots. You can't go up and try to get those ideas in your mind. You have to go to the roots. You have to go to the streets. You have to look there and get the ideas, get the people, get the talent, and make it work.
Right.
So I would like to say something here, because I'm a little offended when he says that we should learn from other people's cinema, because I do believe that Indian cinema is the best in the world. So I wouldn't agree with that. I'm so sorry.
I request the people
I'm really
to watch
sorry,
and decide.
because if you want to talk about a film that's come from the roots, I think you must watch 12th Fail. It's a brilliant film made by Vidhu Vinod Chopra. And I absolutely went...
Okay. Let's break it down. Let's see what's happening here.
Mad watching the film. I was blown. I think it's a story of India. It's the story of what happens with those crores of youngsters who are coming from small town. In India, we don't have dearth of stories or real and going to the roots. So since you were talking about the topic, I want to say that if you watch 12th Fail, you'll see how brilliantly and how beautiful...
Look at other people. When there's fight happening like this, not a fight, just an argument, but look at other people. This is the way they are behaving. That's me.
Fully, Vidhu Vinod Chopra has brought in this story. And I was completely blown, because such noble characters, such fabulous characters, and it's a real story. It's not a story that is borrowed, or it's not a thing that is written by a filmmaker's imagination. It's a true story. And Vidhu Vinod Chopra's craft in the film as a director and the way he's brought forth this story is just amazing. Like, for me, it was the film of the year. And I just watched the film like 4 days back. And I called Mr. Vidhu Vinod Chopra up and I said that, Vidhu, probably this is your best film.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I can't tell you how brilliant the film is. And it talks about India. It is India. And it is the struggles of all the youngsters in India who go through this. And everything is very brilliantly shown. So I don't believe that filmmaking is all about only showing a certain way. I think when we talk about cinema or filmmaking or Indian cinema, it is an amalgamation of what we all do, whether it's commercial, whether it's festival, whether it's any kind of cinema that we make, mid-level films, high-level films, it's all a creative process. And I feel that in India, we are the population that makes the most diverse films. When you talk about a particular film, and I'm not going to take names of outside India, they don't have the kind of diversity that India has. Today in your roundtable only, there is diversity.
Yep.
There is a person from Malayalam cinema, there's a person from Telugu cinema, there's a person from Kannada cinema, there is a person from Assamese cinema, and here we are from like Maharashtra. So I believe that Indian cinema has a lot to offer, and we actually are the best in the world. And I would like to live with that thought. And I wouldn't want to compare Indian cinema with any other cinema in the world, because we have the truest stories, we have the most grounded stories, and whatever we make is what India is all about. India is not about one particular aspect. India is about so many aspects and so many things and so many experiences that makes the viewing of Indian cinema so special.
That was very eloquent, and actually that leads me to my last question, which I want all of you to answer. Isn't this
Okay, moving forward before that, yeah, I think interesting. See, let others call you the best, Okay, you feel that, great. But both the points, it's not bad. I think the way Prithvi, I guess he put it, is that, we are way behind, and, we have to look at that. I have seen Iranian cinema, it's really outstanding. But what I find the closest is, I feel Malayalam cinema is closest to that, and even they come out with amazing stories. I feel, as Rani said, the diversity, that I can watch a jailer, I can watch, a Cardinal, I can, today watching Captain Miller, I can watch a village rock star, I can see Rocky and Rani, I enjoy all of them in a same country. That's the power of Indian cinema. I think no one has it. Even Hollywood, even they have this, very high budget, small budget, indie films, all of that, but comedy films. And then we have different variety itself. So I don't think we are lower or above anyone. We are our own, distinct identity. And I'm happy with that, and both filmmakers, everyone, Prithvi makes certain kind of films. That is great. That is taking different, indie films and different topics. And Karan Johar is making mushy, whatever. But that is also a different kind of cinema that is projecting, which is as good as, watching something good. So there's no comparison should not be there. Like, that's my point overall. But yeah.
Great topic, actually, because this could be the topic of Roundtable in itself. Isn't there also the question of the audience? Because if the audience wants a particular kind of cinema, they've been raised on a particular kind of diet. It's like saying you've grown up eating rice, now like eat roti, or you've grown up eating roti, now eat. It's
that's
that
basically
basic,
North versus South, right?
Let's say I want escapism. I'm saying that there's all kinds of films, but Iranian cinema is a particular kind of cinema. I'm not saying just Iranian, it could be Estonian, it could be, I don't know why Estonian is stuck in my head, but it's like, it could be Estonian, it could be whatever, right? It's like whatever. But the fact that, doesn't that also play a role in the way, like from a slightly higher pitch, simply because the audience, their tastes are like that. I remember once Kamal Hassan said that when he showed Hey Ram to, I forget which Scandinavian country it was, they reacted very much because the full film was full of red and yellow and very, very, our colors, right? Saffron. But he said because they're full of grays and whites and the very gloomy country, and this is like very violent for them. These colors are very, like they could not take it. And he had to explain to them that for us, we are a very warm country. And we have warm colors, and that's our thing. So isn't that also about the audience itself, that kind of dictates the kind of pitch of cinema that gets made? I mean, I'd like everyone to kind of...
See, for us, I think we are coming from a land of Mr. Satyajit Ray, you know. So when I say Satyajit Ray, I think that ends my argument, you know. And the kind of cinema he made, you know.
But, you know, there's a video of, like, counter to her argument itself that there's a video of his interview that he felt that the Indian audience is not intelligent enough and not educated, and that, you know, affects the kind of films you can make. So that's there also.
It talks about your you know, it's just an amalgamation of all that he made.
Right.
So when I say Satyajit Ray, you know, you can't question that we are the best filmmaking country in the world,
right,
and we have the best filmmakers in our country. Right. Because just see the room that we're sitting in. You know, everybody makes different films, diverse films, and that's the beauty of our country.
See, the thing is, if somebody has been fed on rice, and if you try to, you know, give them rotis, and if somebody has been fed on rotis and try to give rice, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But the problem is, if somebody has been fed on burgers from the day one, then to bring them to rotis, it's a slow process. But I think that's what I was trying to say, that we need to slowly move towards there. Because that's what is healthy.
No, but we are also a rice-eating country, you know, like even in Kerala,
Taapsee, what do you have to say?
Bengal, fish and
I
rice.
feel there's a certain level of relatability that brings the audience's attention.
Right.
And that shouldn't be forgotten. You can always have a wrap of a certain kind, and what you have inside is something that you would want them to digest too, which might not be their regular palate.
It's getting very food related.
Yeah, we love food.
Digestion. Yeah.
So it's just basically something to lure them and then present them with something that is not their obvious palate. Or
maybe Rocky and Rani is that, right? That you package as a big, full-on, you know, big entertainer, masala, song, dance and everything. But inside there's a lot of message also.
Choice
very
or liking.
Woke messages.
There's a certain kind of mix, I feel, that we need to approach things with. A midway of sort, which is very difficult to crack. You can't be a stubborn, arrogant... I at least, it's subjective medium, so I can't be saying, okay, I only like this, so I don't care what the audience will like, I will only make this.
No, you can't.
That you can't do. So I need to lure them with something I know they will relate to, they'll like, they would love to spend their time more than money.
It's like, before someone who's eating burger, to bring them to chapati, first you have to give them a whole wheat bun burger. Then put ingredients which are more healthier. You know, get them used to the taste, and maybe then come to, you know, sabji, dal, roti and all of that.
On this thing. And then present them in the garb of that, present them with something that they might look at and feel like, oh yeah, maybe this is also interesting, or this is also nice. Maybe I never thought it from this point of view. So there's a equal give and take that you're doing with your audience. So you can't be stubborn on either side. I'm not someone who like, everything that they like, you're only serving that. You're not even challenging the minds of your audience.
Yeah.
I don't believe in doing that either. So it needs to be a midway of give and take that you need to...
I think at the end of the day, one has to make a film that one believes in and has passion for that particular script or that story.
Right.
And that story might be anything.
Right.
You know, as long as the filmmaker has passion for it and you make it with the best of your ability, you find a producer who can produce it to the best of their ability, and you find the right actors for it, and they could be newcomers like how you have in 12th Fail, where you had just Vikrant Massey and the rest were all practically new or not even like actors. Or then you have a film like Rocky or Rani, or you have a film like Pathan, you know, or Animal, or, you know, 2018. So you can just make whatever you want to make, but just make sure you make it with passion, and don't make it like, ha, chalo, let's make a project. I think what is tiresome to see for an audience is when people make projects. Right. You know, as long as you're making a film with passion, you can make any story and the audience will accept it wholeheartedly.
Jude?
Yes, for me, making films itself is a big thing as an achievement. And I do watch films, all films, and whatever you make, be it roti, be it biryani, be it rice, whatever, make it with the heart.
Yes.
Like you don't need to think
I love food
so much about the audience,
you know,
like what they want. You just have to love what you do. Like I have done 3 films before. all three female-centric films, in the sense the main lead was a heroine, and the first film was Om Shanti Oshana, which was a rom-com, which has not seen the,
I've seen it.
Malayalam.
It's a very
unusual way of a girl behind a guy. And the second film was two grandmothers making a bucket list and going for some trip. That movie didn't go well. I have seen the other part of the audience reaction, like why this guy is there here in the room. And then I have done the third film was about the
Sarah's.
Choice of Woman, Sarah's, in Amazon Prime. So all the four films I have done with my full heart. Like, I have done the films, and I have seen the two sides of the success and the failure. But I never abandoned my films. I said it's a mistake, that some mistakes I made while making the film. So I kept learning, and I went to meet the great filmmakers like Priyadarshana sir, and I asked him, like, what went wrong for me. He said, you should always work with the people who are more capable than you. You should always pick some cinematographer who has more experience than you, who has more vision than. So I always try to learn from the filmmakers, and that's the key thing. You have to keep on working on your skills, not to the critics' reaction or the audience reaction. You have to make your own filmmaking process, and in the meantime, you will be knowing that magic of getting to the good cinemas. So I do read all the comments or the critics, everything. I just take the best part of it. Like it would have been better. So I was just thinking, if it would have, what should be the outcome if I had done that. So roti, biryani, rice, whatever, you make it with the heart.
It's, I think sometimes we just, overthink, we just making a film come together is such a tedious task. If you just sit outside and just watch everything what goes behind making a film, like, why would you want to do it? And you just do it again, and just at the end, if it works and people enjoy your film, that's it. Yeah, move to the next one. Like, I think we just too much about Indian cinema and this cinema, and we have to, like, what I do makes the difference in the world, and I just don't put so much thought.
It's constant, So if, you have to learn.
What I feel like our Indian audience, they are open to diverse content.
Yes.
They're watching different films.
We have such a big population, There'll be every kind of people you'll find.
And we all are making films. We have our unique vision, either including dance, song, and it is very much there in our life. So maybe what I have made, maybe I have not included any dance or something, but in future I'm open to do it. And also, it is also good, like collaborating with each other. I just don't believe in labeling a film as indie, realistic, or commercial cinema. It is, especially it depends on the, intention of the filmmaker, what what film he or she wants to make it. It depends on that. And if you ask me, like, okay, and also taking the responsibility, I'm making this film and I know why and who are my audience, my expectation is only I'm open to exceeding that.
Right. That's a lovely point. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And if I aspire as a filmmaker to make a grand film, like if Rani, Taapsee, if I have a story, I'd love to work with them, and when we are collaborating, it's like if I'm working with non-actors or actors, it is like when she decides to work with me, I only need the trust, trusting each other, because, and as a director, how I can give something different to her, and I'm, as a director, her mirror, she has to trust me, and how we can bring something beautiful together. And also, if I aspire to make a grand films, that aspiration should not stop me what I am doing, what I love to do, So if it is a modest budget film or it is a big budget film, for me, the process, that creative process is more important, and enjoying every moment of filmmaking, It should not bother me, oh, okay, otherwise it somehow that I know that with Tora's husband I had a release and maybe the response was good, but the way I expected, the audience was not coming to the theater, So when we are making a big budget film, I'm assuming the way you imagine it, you can execute and it can look at it best, and also you have an extensive PR. But with a modest budget film, the maybe the response is good, but its fate depends on the PR, how you are planning the film. These are the things. So for me, I just want to make movies. I just want to keep making movies. It's also now in villages, audience, they are talking about numbers. They are also actively participating in that
I think
game.
they talk only about numbers. That's what it seems like.
So it is that. You cannot control what film's going to be good in box office. A very well-made film also not doing well in the box office. So I don't want to make my life what I love, make it complicated. I just look for opportunities. I just did a film in Melbourne. I loved it with working with Australian cast and crew. And I don't want to go anywhere it takes me, and I just want to make film. And in India, I just feel like we have, n number of, untold stories.
Yes.
We have local, lovely stories. We are
She's
blessed
more
with that.
invested
And
because
we should just,
going
if
with
it
that
is
point.
larger than life, it is realistic, it doesn't matter. We should
imbibe the
bring
stories,
these stories, because if it is Iranian or European, I mean, if I'm watching a story from wherever
in the world,
I want to see their world. It excites me to see their world. So why not we do that, more and more, and
With our films.
that can happen. I just always cannot be stuck there. Oh, I am an independent filmmaker. I just want to do that. I just want to work with non-actors, not actors, not with this producer. I want to take the challenge, and that collaboration, what we are talking about, that, oh, this is not happening, this is not working. I think we have to break that boundaries, because we are having this panel. It should not be, okay, tata, bye-bye, I'm going home. He is a commercial filmmaker, profit-driven filmmakers, or whatever we are labeling. And it should not be like that. We need to open, because whatever we are making, we need to see the long-term impact also, as a society.
Like a Dharma production, like backing a film like Village Rockstar 2. That's something, I wish to see.
I think, and how we can
have
appreciate.
respect for everybody, have respect for each other, have respect for everybody.
Yeah, probably.
Karan and Sandeep?
I always believe from day one that we can feed anything to the audience, because audience will never ask, I want to watch this particular kind of a film. And I always feel any story can be said with a proper conviction. And I always believe if I'm writing a scene, when I sleep over and when I visit the scene, I check if I'm liking it, I feel audience will like it. Because for a long time, I was sitting in the audience and watching films, Started being a movie buff. So I always check that meter. If I'm liking, I always felt it's directly proportional that the gallery will like. So yeah, I mean, other than that, a poster, a teaser, a trailer will give a glimpse of it, and that's it. I think I don't know about the other countries' audience, but I feel our Indian audience are open to anything. Because while I was growing in Telugu, when I was in Warangal, my hometown, I used to see a lot of Tamil dubbed films coming into Telugu. Literally, the lip sync was something else and the dialogue was something else. And we watched, the classic example is Bombay. When he starts Bombay, Arvind Swamy singing that song in Beckle Fort. The sync is completely off. ऐसा लग रहा था कि some other music is playing. But still we followed. That says that, especially Telugu audience, we watched all kinds of films. Hindi,
Yeah, that's true.
Tamil, Malayalam.
Everything. They watch everything.
All dubbed films used to come. So yeah, I feel we can feed anything to the audience with pure conviction.
That is the power of the
Cinema.
visual cinema.
Yes. Yeah.
Karan Johar?
Mr. Johar.
It's bizarre, but I've grown up, like Sandeep just spoke, from the age of, I think, 4 or 5, I've been visiting, those days there were no plexes. I've been going to cinema halls and watching a film every Friday. It was a routine. I came back from school and I went to watch a film. At that time, even I grew up in a neighborhood where there were other kids who weren't interested in Hindi cinema. And I would take anyone in the house that was ready to come, because sometimes my mom or somebody, there was, other members of the household that would come with me. And every Friday I went religiously and watched. And I loved every film till you started developing an opinion. And then the VHS phase came and I started watching vintage Raj Kapoor, Guru Dutt, Satyajit Ray, and so many of the filmmakers, Yash Chopra. And I realized that I still till today, I continue to be a student of cinema. Like I said, I learned something from Animal, and I learned something from every filmmaker, because I believe if you don't acknowledge the brilliance of somebody else, how do you get there?
Yeah.
I am an audience. I'm an audience first, a filmmaker after. True. So when I'm an audience, I will always be able to cater to that audience that I grew up with. Yeah. I grew up in a hall that laughed at a joke, that clapped at an entry, that clapped at a punchline, that got that gush before the climax, that felt the victory of your protagonist, and then went home with those feelings and those thoughts and those images, and then slept with them and woke up again wanting to perhaps see the movie again. I'm that same filmmaker who has seen a love story 25 times and a Pyasa 25 times. Because I've loved them both for different reasons. Yes. I've watched Umrao Jaan with the same amount of abandon that I watched Sholay. I've literally watched each film and I watched so much of Ray's work with the equal excitement of that I watched Manmohan Desai.
Correct.
And they're totally different schools of cinema. Yes. Am I individually capable of doing some of it? No. Am I versatile? Perhaps not. Am I slotted? Yes. Because people call Karan, they'll say, you make that kind of film. But have you seen my love story? Have you seen my Bombay Talkies? Have you seen Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna? Have you seen My Name is Khan? No, but you will be called and addressed as a filmmaker that makes family films or romantic films. So sometimes there's death by perception also, And I feel like had my name been Karan Kashyap, I would have been looked differently. But now my name is what it is. So it comes like the talk show comes of it. And I'm very proud of the fact that I'm in an industry that is so diverse. Yes. And I grew up in an industry that kind of taught me so much and that I've learned so much through the cinema. I watched Mani Ratnam before it was even known to people. Adi and I used to go together. We've gone to Aurora Cinema and watched, and that time it was not even subtitled. It was like we were watching a Tamil film which you didn't understand. I've seen Tiroda Tiroda, Mauna Ragam, right up to Bombay and Roja where they were dubbed. When I was watching Bengali cinema and I was watching like films made from across the country, and then I started watching, I've seen Rajamouli sir's first film, Student Number 1, and I watched it right up to Iga, and I was a fan and I went and met him. And said, I really want to present Bahubali in Hindi because I've been a fan right through. Right. So I'm like, sometimes you get slotted, sometimes you feel like, we make a certain brand of cinema. But my doors in my production house are open from everything, from a lunchbox right up to like a big tentpole film, because I love our cinema so much. And I'm so tremendously proud of everything that we've done. Yes, there are misfires. Yes, like when Rani spoke about project, those annoy me. Every project that seems like it's been put together to and those films have never worked out. A project will never work. A film made with passion, dedication, and true love for cinema will always get you that vindication. So I feel like, to end, I just like to say, in my life, I have like, where else can you sing, dance, laugh and cry and still be at work? Only how blessed are we that we are part of an industry and we can live vicariously.
Well said.
Through so many of the characters we create and portray. and project.
What?
I mean, like, when I was young, I used to feel so sad for people who did anything else. I feel like, oh my God, and they all do great jobs. Like, we need doctors, we need engineers, we need lawyers. But thank God I'm a filmmaker, is all I have to say, is that, because look at what we have. Look at this wonderful gift that we are all we're storytellers, content creators.
That's true for me also,
And I'm like, I just feel happy and blessed.
We have to be thankful and grateful for where we are and what we do.
And I'm thankful and grateful for this panel. Thank you all so much. And let's have a great
2024.
I keep forgetting the year. It's 2024.
Yes.
Pandemic.
Wow. Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No wonder this didn't have any, controversy from Sandeep Reddy Vanga, because he didn't get to speak much. Yeah, there were a lot of people. It's always hard. Even I have tried it with whatever I have got my experience with. It's very hard to, cover everything you want to. But I think, yeah, as you go ahead, it just flows naturally. Everyone got to talk, everyone got to interact, put their points forward. And I think one interesting was, about indie films not getting, smaller films not getting that boost from even theatrical, and OTT also is now, it's difficult to get it out. But we got ideas also about crowdfunding, how we can do it, the marketing period, how to push it forward. So that was very interesting. We talked about, how what's happening in the industry with critics and the reviewers and all of that, their angst about it. So it's interesting to, note all that. And yeah, it's a debate will always be there, See, any other day, you should have your priority right. You want to make a good film. Whatever it takes, make that good film, right? Don't think like these things, which cinema is better, this that's all, for people outside, the analysts, not critics, analysts, or people just like the audience. Let that to be the audience. You make films. That's your job. You focus on that. Don't think about what your difference you're making in the world and your cinema is great or not. Like all that is irrelevant to us. So yeah, great roundtable, guys. Enjoyed it. Not as what do you call controversial, I would say. Even the debate, I think it's been going around on social media also. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Anything I'm losing it now. And then you can check out my reaction to the FC Adda, the director's Adda. And one more roundtable. There's a lot of requests which that the Tamil directors won. So I'll do that with Bhartoj Rangan also. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.